Good morning, LifePoint. How are we doing? Good. Thanks for all coming this morning. This is a song I wrote. It's called Hungry. People only ever want to find their happy place. Seems like no matter what we do, we just fall on our face. Got to be something bigger than you and me. There's gotta be an answer, or I've had to leave. So I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready to know. Jesus, tell me how to live my life. 'Cause I'm hungry, hungry for all of your truth. Speak to me each day as I read your words. Change me into somebody new. Life's a hard road to walk when you feel alone. You've got people all around you, still you feel on your own. There's got to be something bigger than you and me. There's gotta be an answer, or I've had to leave. 'Cause this life is dizzy, it's messy, but I'm ready to know. Jesus, tell me how to live my life. 'Cause I'm hungry, hungry for all of your truth. Speak to me each day as I read your words. Change me into somebody new. 'Cause you said you're the bread of life, and it sounds so nice, so I'm ready to know. Jesus, tell me how to live my life. 'Cause I'm hungry, hungry for all of your truth. Speak to me each day as I read your words. Change me into somebody new. Thank you. I keep fighting voices in my mind that say I'm not enough. Every single lie that tells me I will never measure up. I can't feel a thing. You say I'm strong when I think I'm weak. You say I am held when I am falling short. And when I don't belong, oh, you say I'm yours. And I believe, oh, I believe what you say of me. I believe the only thing that matters now is everything you think of me. In you I find my worth, in you I find my identity. Whoa, you say I'm loved when I can't feel a thing. You say I'm strong when I think I'm weak. And you say I am held when I am falling short. And when I don't belong, you say I'm yours. And I believe, oh, I believe what you say of me. I believe. The only thing that matters it at your feet. You'll have every failure, God. You'll have every victory. Whoa, you say I'm loved when I can't feel a thing. You say I am strong when I think I'm weak. You say I am held when I am falling short. And when I don't belong, oh, you say I'm yours. And I believe, oh, I believe what you say of me. I believe. Thanks, guys. So for the announcements this week, I just wanted to mention that we did last week that we're doing the gift cards for to help families in our local area for Christmas time, and we're also doing the shoebox program, and that is going to be due at the beginning of December. So if you guys are looking to do the shoebox this year, please speak to one of the LifePoint members and pick up your shoebox today so we can get it back by the beginning of December. It's also going to be Remembrance Day this week, so we're going to just take a moment of silence right now and just have our moment for the church today. Thank you for that reflection. Enjoy the rest of the service, guys.
Well, good morning, friends. Welcome to church. Welcome to you who are joining us online. Welcome. So we're in the part of Luke's Gospel that's often called the Beatitudes. And the word Beatitudes comes from an old Latin word that basically means to be happy. So what we're reading in church at the moment is Jesus' view on how to live a happy life. And to be honest, I'm not sure how happy Jesus was himself. I say that because according to the first century church documents, Jesus didn't have a well-paying job. He didn't have nice clothes. He wasn't much to look at. Didn't have any equity. Didn't own a home. Couldn't even afford to rent a home. The things that we try so desperately hard to get and to maintain, Jesus wasn't all that interested in. So clearly his view on what a happy life looks like will be a little bit different from ours. Our cultural intuition is that happiness is the presence of pleasure and the absence of pain. Happiness is the presence of entertainment and the absence of boredom. Happiness is the presence of security and the absence of insecurity. The relationship between happiness and circumstances is deeply ingrained in our cultural psyche. And yet, regardless of how deeply ingrained that relationship is, I think that we all know that happiness is more complex than we are led to believe. After all, we all have the remarkable fortune of being able to live in Canada. We're all able to participate in activities that are pleasurable. We all have some form of entertainment that we regularly enjoy, at least we used to. Comparatively speaking, we all have security, and yet puzzlingly, we are not all happy all of the time. And we know ourselves well enough to know that an increase in our pleasure and in our entertainment and in our security would not necessarily increase our happiness. In his insights into happiness, Jesus, the first century homeless preacher, implies that we're looking for happiness in some of the wrong places. And so in this morning's lesson, he says something perverse. Look at it. He says, "Blessed are you who are hungry, for you will be satisfied." Now, when we read this particular line from Jesus, we're immediately at a disadvantage, because Jesus' notion of what hunger is completely detached from our own experiences. Now, we live in a world where, should we want something to eat, we need do no more than pull ourselves up off our very comfortable, overstuffed sofa and make our way to our overstocked double refrigerator and pick anything we want. Our closest connection with the concept of being hungry is feeling a little bit peckish in between lunch and dinner. In first century Palestine, however, people were very closely connected with the concept of what it felt to be hungry. Theirs, remember, was an agrarian society on the edge of a desert. At the best of times, they were never more than one failed harvest away from starvation. To help us understand what this kind of hunger might look like and feel like, we perhaps might flick through the international section of the Toronto Star and see an image of some, what do we see here? These are children in a feeding station in the Horn of Africa. And there's a look in their eyes that we don't have in our eyes. You know, haven't had anything to eat for 3 days. And when the food ran out in our village, I walked for 3 days to the nearest UN feeding station. And I stood in a queue for 6 hours, because if I don't get something to eat soon, I'll die. that notion of being hungry is alien to us. We are, however, quite familiar with the language of hunger in the context of wanting things, in the context of being ambitious. So, for example, Sir Alex Ferguson, the most successful soccer manager in history, actually the most successful sports manager in history, coincidentally also Scottish, he said in his autobiography that he would frequently let people go because they lost their hunger. He said, being hungry makes you get up a little earlier in the morning, makes you try a little harder to succeed, makes you push through difficult times a little longer. And so he frequently say, if you want to play for any of my teams, you've got to be hungry. Or if you go to a sales seminar, you quite often hear some pumped up coach who's clearly had too much espresso in the morning talking about how you need to be hungry to make sales, and you need to be hungry to buy that car you want to have, and that yacht you want to have, and that house you want to live in. And it's the hunger, it's the ambition that will get you there. Or if you go to a Tony Robbins seminar, you'll hear talk about wanting something so badly in life that you will stop at absolutely nothing to get it. So, Jesus is saying that the people God approves of the most, the people who are happiest and who are most blessed, are the people who are hungry for something. And we know from the other Gospels that the hunger that Jesus was referring to was a hunger to be a better person. Okay, so what Jesus is talking about here is the ambition to be better than you were yesterday. The ambition to be a better man. The ambition to be a better woman. In some of the other Gospels, like Matthew's, for example, he talks about a hunger for righteousness. Now, we're not alien to this. We do hunger for things. Most of us are quite ambitious people. We want things for ourselves, we want things for our children, and many of the things that we want in life, we want badly. And our wanting is not the stuff of idle daydreams. We're not the sort of people who will sit on the sofa for hours on end and wish that we had this and wish that we could do that and wish that we could achieve the other. Not us. Our wanting is accompanied by effort and by industry. Our dreams shape our actions all the time. That's why we get up as early as we do. That's why we work as hard as we do. That's why we study as long as we do, because we want things. And we know that we're going to have to work harder to get them. We want pleasures, we want entertainments, we want securities, and we want so badly that we're willing to graft hard at making them ours, to even exchange our lives for them. So whilst we understand the concept of hungering for things, of being ambitious for a life of our own choosing, it is slightly less familiar to us, I think, to want more than anything else, to just be a better man, to be a better woman, to be a better human being than we were yesterday. When Jesus talks about being right, he talks about that feeling you have. You know when you read an article in the newspaper and it's just not right? Or you hear about some move some woman pulled and embarrassed her husband and it's like, that's not right. Or you hear about some shady move some guy pulled and it hurt people and it cheated people and you're like, that's just not right. It's that feeling deep in your gut. When Jesus says God approves of the people who hunger to be better, he's talking about that feeling inside of yourself when you're like, things just aren't right in here. And I would love to just be a better person. And later in his sermon, not my sermon, Jesus' sermon, he goes into some detail about what a right life looks like. He says, you know what? If you live a right life, You won't hold on to grudges and hurts from yesterday. Like, get that into the skull, yeah? Here's what rightness looks like. It means being hurt in the past and refusing to carry it into the future. Just making a choice to let it go and not holding on to grudges. And it's not okay that you do that. Do you want to be Christian or not? When he talks about a right life, he talks about being extremely disciplined in the stuff we think about in our head. Talks about not looking at a man or woman in a certain sort of lustful way. And this is not okay. Do you want to be Christian or not? Do you want to be right or not? He says if you live a right life, that your integrity will be such that it will be known of you, that when you say you'll do a thing, you'll do it. When you say you'll pay a thing at a certain time, you'll pay it. When you agree to conduct yourself in a certain way, you'll do it. And it's not okay that you cheat. It's not okay that you break your word. It's not okay that you steal. It just isn't. Yeah? Do you want to be Christian or not? He says if you want to live a right life, you'll never, ever, ever mistreat someone. Just because they've mistreated you in the past. You won't do it. He says if you want to live a right life, you'll be kind to people, even people, especially people who were unkind to you. And it's just not okay that you're okay with being like that. It's not. So do you want to be Christian or not? So when Jesus says, I want you to be right, it's pretty clear what he means. He means I want you to raise the bar an awful lot higher on your personal morality, on your integrity, on your ethics, on how you conduct yourself in this world. And when you understand, really understand what Christianity is like in the teaching of Jesus, it's very easy to become disillusioned with Christianity itself. Not because you no longer believe it to be true, but because you no longer believe yourself to be capable of living it. It's very easy to read what Jesus says in the Gospels and just, sort of give up. And say, well, if that's what, a decent life looks like, I'm not decent. The fact is, I do carry around hurts and grudges from yesterday. There are some people for whom the mere mention of their name makes my blood boil. I do know what hate is. I do know what anger is. The fact is, I have made and I do make mistakes. The fact is, I'm capable of dishonesty. I promise things I can't deliver. I pay things long after they should be paid. I have no intentions of being kind to the people who were unkind to me. So, when it comes to negotiating the ethical and moral rigors of the Christian life as described by Jesus, frankly, I'm a bit of a flop. So why bother, is the conclusion we come to. Why pretend? Why go through the motions? And so our own inability to live the Christian life causes us to become disillusioned with Christianity itself. And we become this other thing. Let's not whinge about wearing masks to church. We've been wearing masks to church for decades. Making peace with things that we should never have made peace with. Holding on to things we should have let go of long ago. And somehow thinking Jesus is okay with it. He's not. He's not. But just before we become morose, let's notice carefully what Jesus isn't saying. This, remember, is the gospel, and the gospel is good news. In this sentence, Jesus is not saying that Jesus blesses the presence of righteousness. He's not saying that. He's not saying, blessed are those who live a decent life. He's not saying that. He's not saying, happy are those who are better people than they were yesterday. He's not even saying that. He is saying, blessed are those who have a hunger to be better, who have a hunger to be more decent. And inherent in the concept of hunger is the idea of lack. We do not hunger for what we already have. We can only hunger for what we don't have. So in this morning's lesson, Jesus is saying that happiness begins by being astonished, by being disturbed and upset by the shady, bitter, twisted nonsense in our own heads. And in that astonishment are found the seeds of happiness. The moment you realize that you're not what you should be is the moment you feel the appetite to become what you are not. Hunger is a sign of life. Have a look at this. This is the famous 1992 Manchester United youth team. So the teenagers in this photo have been signed up by Manchester United, and they wear Manchester United tops, but they do not yet play for Manchester United. That's their ambition. And that ambition drives them to get out of bed early every morning and live the sort of life and do the sort of work required of an aspiring Manchester United first-team player. I think, I've said before, and I think it's always true, I think that to be successful at life in anything, you need three things. And without all of these three things, you will not be successful. I think you need to have ability, I think you need to have opportunity, and you need hard work. And without ability, opportunity, and hard work, success, I think, becomes impossible. So the most successful graduate of this particular youth team was David Beckham, who all the ladies will know. David Beckham had natural ability, that much is obvious. He was born with a knack for being able to kick a ball. However, in addition to that ability, he was also given opportunity. He was lucky enough to have been born into a family where his parents noticed his abilities and encouraged them. And were willing to, drive their kids all across town to practices and games, just like some of you did with hockey and basketball and soccer, right? Remember those days you would drive your kid to this, and get up early in the morning and, buy the kit and all that stuff. That was good. You were lucky if your parents were like that. And then still at a young age, he was lucky enough to have been noticed by a scout and lucky enough to have been signed by Manchester United. Fantastic opportunity. So far he's got 2 out of 3. Not bad, like Meatloaf said. He's got ability, he's got opportunity. And to his ability and opportunity, he added hard work. In his autobiography of him, Sir Alex Ferguson said that the reason David Beckham was the best kicker of a ball was because he practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced. The same is true in every area of life, including Christianity. One of the weirdest things the New Testament says about your Christian faith, it's a balancing act, to be honest. It says you have to add to it. Like God's done everything. God's given you Christianity. He's made you right with himself. You're going to heaven. It's a done deal. But there's still stuff you got to do. Look at what Peter says about this. He says, for this very reason, make every effort to add to your faith goodness, and to goodness knowledge, and to knowledge self-control, and to self-control perseverance, and to perseverance godliness, and to godliness brotherly kindness, and to brotherly kindness love. The word effort there is a word that means it means to come alongside. So in the ancient world, this was a word that you would use if you were working beside another person and you were both doing something together. And when Peter chooses this word to describe the hard work and the discipline required of being a better person, what he's basically saying is, look, the gospel's good news, right? God has done his part. Now you pull alongside him and do your part. I mean, God's not going to do everything for you. I mean, there's stuff you've got to do for yourself. So come on. Make a bit of an effort. God has said you're a new person. Be one. God has said you're on your way to heaven. Act like it. God has forgiven you. You forgive others. God's let go of the stupid stuff you've done. You let go of the stupid stuff other people have done. You Christian or not. And then he uses this business of adding. Add to your faith goodness. In other words, practice being good. I don't know about you, but it doesn't come naturally to me. Add to your faith knowledge, like learn stuff about Jesus that you don't currently know. Like add. And the word add in the English language is such a small word. It's just, how many letters? 3 letters. But in first century Greek, the word add is a long word. Epigoraigen is the word. Long word. And the epigoraigen in first century Greek is a word that Peter borrows from the theatre. And it means this. It's quite important. So, you know how when you go to see something at the Princess of Wales Theatre and there's just a couple of guys on stage and they're speaking words or they're singing words, and all that stuff, right? And there's just 2 of them on the stage and the light is on them. And it's all very subdued and the drama and the tension's all on them. And then the scene changes and the lights go up at the back of the stage and the lights reveal the chorus. And there's like 60, 70, 80 people. And then the chorus joins in and they all start like singing and the tempo goes up and the energy fills the room. In first century Greek, the chorus at the back are the epigoraigen. And most plays in the ancient world didn't have a chorus. Because obviously hiring 60, 70, 80 extra singers was expensive. So most people made do with 2. So to have a chorus was extravagant. To have a chorus was like going all the way. It was doubling down. It was putting all your money on the table. You see what Peter means when he says add to your faith? He's saying that you should make a huge effort to be better than you were yesterday. Like seriously, folks. Make a huge effort to be less of an idiot. I think that's a goal I can live with. Don't be an idiot today. I think that'd be enough to be getting on with, to be honest. Be less of an idiot. I don't think Jesus, I know that Jesus doesn't expect that your life will be right in every way. He doesn't. But he does expect that your lack of rightness will upset you and give you a hunger to do better. And in that hunger is happiness. I think that the more you cooperate with God and the more you make the most of the opportunities that you've been given, the further you'll go and the more you'll be filled. Now, the danger with all this, of course, is that you can read what Jesus says in this morning's lesson as though he were saying, God is for the good. And so the better you get at being good, the more God will be for you. But that would not be gospel. That would be anti-gospel. So having said everything that we've said about trying hard to be a better person, which is always good and always right, let's be clear that what Jesus actually says in this morning's scripture is, blessed are those who hunger to be better. And in saying that, he is saying that God blesses the absence and not the presence of righteousness. He blesses an awareness of what is not there, and not the satisfaction of what is. He blesses the place in life where you are where you are in the morning after, the night before, in a place of regret. That is the place of blessing. Everything about the gospel is counterintuitive. He doesn't say blessed are those who have found righteousness. He doesn't say blessed are those who have figured it all out. It simply says blessed are those who are messed up and who don't like it. Blessed are those who look at where they are today and are dissatisfied with it because it's just not right. Blessed are those who look at themselves in the mirror and realize they've been an idiot for too long and they'd like to stop. The gospel has room for you to have a bad day. The gospel has room for you to be grumpy and messy and dirty. Because Jesus blesses the absence and not the attainment of goodness. The gospel says to us, blessed are you when you've run out of ideas and self-control, and in frustration you throw up your hands in despair because you've come to the end of yourself. Blessed are you when you can't make the tension between your good intentions and your bad realities go away. Blessed are you when your willpower fails. Blessed are you when it all falls apart. Blessed are you when it doesn't work. Blessed are you when your energy fades and your faithfulness is fragile. Because it is in that space and in that pain and in that awareness and in that hunger that God from heaven announces that he is with you in the gospel and in grace. Let's pray. Our Father in heaven, we thank you for your announcement of blessing. We know we're not what we should be, and we do hunger to be better. And it comforts us to know that you are with us. It comforts us to know that your gospel is free and that your love is beyond disappointment. So we put our hand into your hand, and we go boldly and confidently into the week ahead, knowing and trusting and believing that you are with us each step. Hear our prayer through Christ our Lord. Amen.